AITAH for not letting my mother-in-law come over after she destroyed my Millennium Falcon Lego set? So, let me tell you what happened, and you can be the judge. I'm a 38-year-old guy, an engineer, and I live with my amazing wife, who's 37 and a senior supervisor at a law firm, and our 7-year-old son, who's pretty much my little co-pilot in life. Now, I've had this thing for Legos ever since I was a kid. I know, some people might say it's childish for a grown man, but honestly, it's my happy place, my way to de-stress and create something cool. It's been a constant hobby, and the best part is, now I get to share it with my son. Earlier this year, in 2024, we embarked on an epic quest, building the Lego Millennium Falcon. We're talking months of dedication, tiny bricks clicking into place, a masterpiece taking shape before our very eyes. It wasn't just a model, it was our Millennium Falcon, a symbol of our father-son bond, our pride and joy. Whenever we had guests, I couldn't resist showing it off. My wife, bless her heart, doesn't quite get the Lego mania, but she's cool with it. She sees how much it means to me and our boy. So, fast forward to early March. My wife's parents were coming to stay with us for a week. Standard procedure, right? I figured, hey, they're guests, let's give them the grand tour, which naturally includes the Lego collection. So, I asked if they'd like to see it. They said sure. I led them into the room, my son beaming beside me, and there it was, the Falcon in all its glory. Her father seemed genuinely impressed, commenting on the sheer scale of the collection and the hours that must have gone into it. But her mother, well, that was a different story. She just sort of sniffed and said, and I quote, "What a waste of time. You should focus on being a real man. Climb that corporate ladder." I just laughed it off. I mean, she's from an older generation, probably just has some old-fashioned ideas about what a real man does. No big deal, or so I thought. We left the room, and the topic didn't come up again for a few hours. But then, at dinner, completely out of the blue, she pipes up again, "You really should give up all this Lego nonsense and be a real man." The air kind of crackled for a second. We all just sort of ignored it and tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, but I caught the look on her face. She was not pleased. The rest of their stay was pretty uneventful on the Lego front. Nobody mentioned it, and by the time they were due to leave, everything seemed fine. They had an early flight, 3 a.m., so we were all up to see them off, waved goodbye as their taxi pulled away. I stumbled back to bed, thinking that was that. But the next morning, that's when the nightmare began. I walked into the living room, probably still half asleep, and then I saw it. My Millennium Falcon, our Millennium Falcon, was smashed. Utterly, brutally smashed into 1,000 pieces, scattered like cosmic debris. And right there, in the middle of the wreckage, was a note. A calmly written note from my wife's mother. It said, "This is for your own good, so you can be a real man and focus on what matters." My blood ran cold. She had deliberately, quietly, destroyed it in the dead of night before they left. My son, oh man, my son. He came in, saw it, and just crumpled. Tears, pure devastation. It was more than just plastic bricks to him. It was our adventure. I was furious, heartbroken, a whole mess of emotions. I called her immediately. No answer. Called again. Finally, she picked up, and her voice was so nonchalant. I asked her why. How could she? She refused to apologize. Said she did me a favor. That's when I told her, until you apologize, a real, sincere apology to me and to my son, you are not welcome in this house again. My wife, she's not happy with my decision. She thinks I'm being too harsh, that I should let it go for the sake of family peace. And honestly, there's a part of me, late at night, that wonders, did I overreact? Am I in the right here, or did I go overboard? Here's the update. So, the days that followed were tense. Really tense. My son was quiet, withdrawn. He'd just stare at the pile of broken Lego pieces, sometimes picking one up and then dropping it like it burned him. My wife and I were walking on eggshells around each other. She understood my anger, my hurt, but she was also caught in the middle, torn between her husband and her mother. The ban on my mother-in-law was a heavy cloud over our home. We didn't talk about it directly for a while, but it was there. Then, about a week after the incident, I got a call from an unknown number. It was my father-in-law. His voice was low, almost conspiratorial. "I am so sorry," he said, and I could hear the genuine shame in his voice. What she did, it was wrong. There's no excuse. He then told me something that made my jaw drop. This wasn't the first time my mother-in-law had done something like this. Apparently, years ago, when my wife was a teenager and had poured her heart into a massive art project, her mother, in a fit of pique over some unrelated argument, had thrown it all out. He said she has this switch that flips when she feels ignored or like her advice isn't being taken seriously. It's tied to her own unfulfilled ambitions, a bitterness that sometimes lashes out. He wasn't excusing her, he emphasized, but he wanted me to know this wasn't just about Lego, it was a pattern. He said he was trying to talk to her, to make her see reason, but she was stubborn. That call changed things a bit. It didn't lessen my anger at what she did, but it added a layer of complexity. My wife, seeing I was a little less like a raging inferno, finally opened up too. One evening, as we were sitting in silence, she just started crying. She confessed that her mother's behavior had cast a shadow over her whole life. The art project incident her dad mentioned? She'd never fully gotten over it. She'd spent years trying to manage her mother's moods, to placate her, to avoid triggering these episodes. She admitted she was scared of her mother, in a way, and that my standing up to her so decisively had terrified her because she was conditioned to expect an even bigger explosion. She felt guilty for not defending me and our son more, but also paralyzed by years of walking on eggshells. It was a raw, honest conversation, and it brought us closer. We realized we were a team, and our primary responsibility was to our son and our own little family unit. Then, our son did something amazing. A few days after that talk, I found him in his room, not with the broken Falcon pieces, but with a sketch pad. He was drawing. He designed a new spaceship. It wasn't the Millennium Falcon. It was sleeker, had more imaginary defenses, and he'd even written a name beneath it, the Protector. He looked up at me, a little shyly, and said, "Dad, maybe we can build this one. It'll be even stronger." My heart just swelled. This kid, instead of just dwelling on the destruction, was already thinking about creating something new, something resilient. It was a turning point for me. The anger was still there, but it was now mixed with a fierce determination to protect his spirit, his creativity. A few days later, a stiff, formal-looking envelope arrived. It was from my mother-in-law. Inside was a single card. It read, "I am sorry for the distress caused regarding the toy. I hope we can move past this." That was it. No real acknowledgement of the malice, no mention of my son, no personal touch. My father-in-law called later, sounding exhausted. He said this was the best he could get out of her, and it had taken a monumental effort. My wife and I talked long and hard that night. The apology was pathetic, really, but the conversations with her dad and her own admissions had shifted the landscape. We decided that the outright ban, while justified in the heat of the moment, might not be the most constructive path forward, especially for my wife and her relationship with her parents, however strained. But things couldn't go back to how they were. So we agreed on new terms. My mother-in-law would not be staying in our house for the foreseeable future. Visits, if they happened, would be short, in neutral territory, or heavily supervised here. And before any visit, there would be a clear conversation setting boundaries about respecting our home, our hobbies, and especially our son's feelings. My wife was the one who communicated this to her parents. Apparently, it was a difficult call, but she stood firm, and for the first time, her father backed her up unequivocally to her mother. So, AITA? Maybe I was, initially, for the absolute ultimatum. But after everything that's unfolded, I think we've landed in a place that's about protecting our peace and our son's well-being. The Falcon is still in pieces, a sad reminder. But the Protector blueprints are getting more detailed every day. And maybe, just maybe, building that with my son will be an even greater adventure. It's a different kind of build, not just Lego, but rebuilding trust and building stronger family boundaries.